Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is an award-winning human resources and diversity and inclusion professional and author. She has been featured on the Women in FinTech Power List since 2017 and was the first HR professional to win the Standout spot. She recently launched her book, The Soul of Startups, the untold stories of how founders affect culture. It is a can't-miss resource for company founders, entrepreneurs, managers, executives, and startup professionals around how a founder can impact company culture. Additionally, she is widely recognized in Europe for her innovative influence on how human resources works in technology companies and startups. She now works with companies around the world as an advisor and lives with her family in London. So Silhouettes, please help me welcome Sophie Theen to the show. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, Amber.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. We are excited as well. So, Sophie, it is so fabulous to have you with us as you share your silhouette of success story with the audience and with me. So, how about we turn the stage over to you and have you start by sharing, maybe help to illustrate the early shaping of your silhouette of success by sharing a little bit about your background.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. A little bit about myself is I used to be an engineer, graduated as a mechanical engineer, and decided that engineering wasn't exactly what I wanted to do something that has got to do with people. I wanted to work with people, was very fascinated with this whole idea of cultures in a company. And eventually one thing led to another. I landed into recruitment and obviously propelled into the world of HR. And from there, I just joined startups upon startups, going in. And right now, what I do is I advise startups on how to build great, sustainable, human-centric businesses. So that's about me.
Very fascinating for sure. How do you, I'm going off script again. I tend to do that because you've got to catch these moments when they arrive, right? How does that mesh for you with your background as a mechanical engineer going into the people aspect? How do you utilize your skills and talents with such a great crossover? It's such a unique crossover.
That's a great question, and also one that I actually get asked quite often. For me, personally, I have seen a lot of success in doing a slightly different kind of hybrid HR role, I would say. So not traditionally looking at just making people happier, but I'm always gravitating towards getting the right amount of data to be able to justify the decisions we're making for a company, being able to create an analysis and pull out trends and patterns that we often, as HR professionals tend to rely on different resources within the company, obviously depending on the size of the company. But I am my own data scientist in my HR team. And so therefore it kind of makes this journey a lot more challenging on one hand, given the fact that, it's not always often that you get a HR person showing data to get the funding or to get the budget that they are demanding for. But on the other hand, once we get through that hurdle, it's also been really, really rewarding, because then I kind of feel like the entire leadership team and the company itself is on the same journey. Rather than seeing it as a token approval, we actually do have everybody on the same journey to want to do the right things for the company. So, it's a little bit of a challenge, but I have found that it is very rewarding for me to mash up exactly like what you say, this background, this passion of mine in a very technical term, and then apply it to such a human-centric role.
I'm tickled by that because, again, listening to you is a perfect, sounds like combination of, like you mentioned, the patterns and the analytical aspects of that, but yet you love the people and your personality already has come through. I mean, you are holding down a little bit, but I can tell that you just brim with enthusiasm. So, I mean, you just tell that. Oh, how exciting! Okay, so the alarm clock goes off. Your work or business day begins. What's a day in the life look like for you? And this is kind of actually great timing of a question based on what we just talked about. Are you structured? Do you have a routine, or systems in place, or do you have more of that spontaneous spirit? Talk to us. What's it look like for you?
I try to balance spontaneity as well, because obviously, you don't want life to be so boring, especially when you're working in such a people, centric role as well, having to deal with people issues on a daily basis. So when I wake up in the morning, I snooze my alarm and I actually get on about and look at my very heavy, or if not meticulously planned schedule for the day. I double check to make sure I have enough time for a coffee break. I double check to make sure I have enough time to walk my dog. And on a day-to-day basis, as I mentioned, I'm an advisor for startups, particularly in building out either people and culture teams, or also being the leadership, or if not the founder coach for these startups. So I do try to split my day in terms of having some sessions of coaching, because they're also very therapeutic for me, and then move on to a bit more structured work. Like I go and do dark times where I would look at, rebuilding an entirety of the performance management framework for a company. So I do kind of split my day in between, but I do love the coaching aspect, because I feel like I get to know the company more, but I also get drawn into people's different leadership behaviors and personalities, and then kind of apply that as consideration when I'm building out frameworks.
Who do you think had the most influence, or who or what? I guess it could be a situation as you embarked on your career path, or as you talk about, you started with the engineering aspect and then transitioned into the people aspect of that. Maybe it was prior to. Can you tie anything back to an influence that helped guide you?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my parents has always kind of been an anchor for me to be able to, obviously they didn't stop me when I said, I've finished engineering and I'm now in a graduate program. And what I don't want to do is actually continue on with the graduate program. And I actually just want to go and join this startup in doing recruitment. And I think my parents have definitely given me the autonomy that then kind of built my personality to be really autonomous. So when I think about the roles that I play right now, or the jobs that I do right now, being able to be a consultant well means I need to be able to work with one ambiguity and also learn to build respect, credibility through autonomy. So all in all, I think that kind of upbringing has really shaped me to be the kind of leader I am now, and the way I treat work.
Thinking on that, in your role, it's a leadership role, clearly. Where do you turn to, or what do you do to maybe help yourself get unstuck? If you need motivation, or if you're working on something and there's seemingly a barrier between you and a dream or goal, what helps you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. As you can tell, and hopefully most people also agree with me, that coaches need coaches. So I obviously have a trusted coach that I go to whenever I'm kind of feeling a little bit mentally stuck, when I feel like I'm not being able to see things objectively. I'm not being able to kind of be fully satisfied with the response and the solution that I'm giving to my clients or the companies that I'm working for. On the other hand, I am a huge believer that the community out there can be your biggest supporter. I feel very privileged being in London, that I am part of a female in fintech, women in tech kind of community that has really kind of helped me navigate it through my whole career, to be perfectly honest. But at the same time, I'm also in the middle of building my own community when it comes to just basing off the book as well. We're talking about people who are living in the startup world, wanting to navigate themselves through the culture, HR professionals who want to help businesses build better businesses, and at the same time, founders who may or may not sometimes think that they are left to build this business on their own and felt like nobody kind of truly understand the circumstances that they would have to go through. So for me, a big takeaway is the community that I belong to and the community that has actually supported me throughout.
That's fantastic. Are you ready to share anything about your community? Is that a what's ahead with a unveiling soon, or is that something that you want to share, or is it too early?
Yeah. It's a little bit too early right now, but definitely it's a very organic and natural kind of build up of a community. Since the book has been launched, which is only about 8 weeks now, I've been very, very, very grateful for such a huge warm welcome by the community. People are sending me messages on LinkedIn. I'm easily found on LinkedIn, by the way, that there are more and more HR professionals are coming directly to me asking for advice. They're probably living a current moment or living in a particular example in their startup, and they want to help their CEOs, they want to help their founders build better business and solve some of these people issues. And I just kind of feel like the community already exists. It's just me making sure that I'm finding the time and creating the right platform for us to help each other.
Do you want to talk about the book?
Yeah, sure.
Come on, do tell, share it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the book is called The Soul of Startups. As you can imagine, the soul of a startup can come in various forms, and particularly in the book, we're really talking about the founders. So really talking about how culture evolves and is stemmed from the very top of the pyramid. Founders have been identified to have 10 types of personalities within the book itself. Obviously, I'm not generalizing here, but I've been able to talk to different people that I've interviewed. And the book is predominantly, number one, the whole objective is to give the operators, the HR professionals, anybody who live in the startup space who are not founders, to have that space and platform to really share their story. What I have found remarkable was that not everyone is brave enough to share their story until someone kind of starts that movement. So for me, it's really important that I hope the conversation continues from the book, and also we can really start this movement of just recognizing that we can help each other out, and your particular mistake or success story is not exclusive to yourself only. There's a whole community out there that's probably going through very, very similar things. Then it is all from a perspective of an operator, which means we're really trying to gather the opinions, the experiences, as well as the key learnings from people who have been operating in those spaces. Because I feel like when I was starting to write this book, I felt like it's okay to leave the founders out for the moment, because they normally do have a huge platform out there that they can really talk about their companies, the culture that they really believe in, and the way their leadership style or leadership kind of anchoring point is building out the companies. Whereas many other people who are kind of operating in the background don't really get that opportunity. So that's a little bit of the origin story of the book.
It is so intriguing. And I know, and we're going to share all of the links in the resource section for the audience here at the end of it too. And so they can go find you in your book. so the audience knows, The Soul of Startups, the untold stories of how founders affect culture. You also talk about something I found just I love really is emotional intelligence and the whole concept of that. And it completely ties back, in my opinion, a lot of what you mentioned earlier, your strengths and your, observations of patterns and analytics and just being in the presence and aware. But yet you're also in tune with people. So what inspired you to take the step to become an author of this book, of a book?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that definitely has kind of, it turned into a book actually quite accidentally.
Uh-huh.
I love to write, and as part of my job, I actually also kind of craft and handle communications and the entire comms strategy whenever a marketing team doesn't exist in an early startup, especially, right? It becomes a luxury. And so it very, very often falls into my job description to make sure, number one, we have the right narrative, we are doing the right storytelling, and we are communicating to our employees and externally and how to represent ourselves. So this kind of came really natural for me. But what kind of led it into becoming a full book was the fact that, number one, I also found it quite therapeutic to be able to lay down all my experiences. And then number two, as I was having these coffee catch ups, these meetups with my peers, people in my community, whenever I'm sharing my stories, I also found that they were nodding along. They were agreeing to what I was saying. And at the same time, you can kind of almost feel like they are trying to tell you their story too, but was kind of holding back because, operating in the HR space, especially then you kind of filter it down into a startup space, is actually a very, very small space. And so ever so often people are so worried about, what if I share my story and then I burn bridges and I cannot find a new job anymore? So they hold this on to themselves. Whereas I have reached a point in my career where I truly, truly believe that consulting is the right way for me. I enjoy, building out, helping different kind of businesses build out their capabilities more than just being in a permanent position. So I took it upon myself to take that responsibility to go, you know what, I'm going to share everybody's stories and I will anonymize it if I need to, but let's just all get together and share all of these learnings. Because on one hand, I also wanted to make sure that the book isn't a dig at founders for poor behaviors or for cautionary tales or to avoid doing what other people have done. It's really to shine a light on founders, right? Because creating a business is difficult enough, sustaining a business is even harder. So hopefully to also kind of spread the awareness that the founders, number one, are trying to do their best in creating great businesses, so they need help as much as they can. But number two, the more important thing is it's never truly too late to turn back and build an even a better culture. So that was how I started writing and why I thought this book was going to be important.
Amazing. The concept that you shared in one of your thoughts there, not the cautionary tale, but yet shining the light. We need more of that. Oh, fantastic. So thinking through, and this is really sometimes more of a two-part question. So was there ever a specific point in time, event or key situation in your professional life that did force you to either face or take a monumental shift within your business or career? And thinking through on that result, whether it was positive or painful, how did going through that help you grow?
Yeah, I love this question. I feel like it's the
Yay.
start of a very long discussion. And for me, there was definitely a pivot point in my career. I've just always thought that I would operate in a sense that I would combine my analytical skills with HR and then to be the best version of HR as I can be. And there was a pivot moment in my career when I joined this startup and I realized no matter how much data I have, I was unable to have the right influential skills to convince the business owners to run a better business. Basically, what I'm describing is quite a toxic environment where I can almost see everybody failing in their jobs because the environment was not the right one for them. It was at that very particular point in my career that I realized creating great workspaces actually requires more than just making the right decisions or having the right leadership or making the right HR or people decisions. So it was at that very point that I decided, on one hand, consulting is what I really wanted to do so that it's more full, so that I have more breadth over what I can control in terms of making these influential decisions. On the other hand, I truly believe at that point that just doing HR isn't going to be enough for me. What I really want and aspire to do is to create better workplaces.
And we are the better for it. Isn't it interesting when those, I guess, maybe sometimes are epiphanies, sometimes we can see them coming on. The challenges create some sort of new awareness for us. Sometimes they're blessing in disguises because at the time that they take place or reveal themselves, it's not the best timing in our hearts, but good for you. Sophie, when do you feel that you have your greatest sense of satisfaction?
Oh, where do we even start? When I truly see people, not just thriving in a workplace, ever so often you think about someone waking up, going through their day to day just so that, they see the end of the tunnel or they see the end of the paycheck moment. I think if, now that the workforce landscape has also obviously shifted, people are wanting to be in a more rewarding role, right? People are traveling and trying to fit this work-life integration all into their lifestyle. And I think for me personally, I feel like we need to be creating better work environments because we respect people's choices rather than saying we want to create better work environments because it's better for business. Does that answer the question?
It does. It does. And I guess I started thinking on that. I always take my notes here and bullet point again, like, we can't always go back and capture different questions. So I want to capture them in the moment while we have you. Can you give the audience an example of that, creating the better environments? Because you're right, there's a movement and almost a soft, quiet demand for it because we realize so many different things about individual needs and then collective needs.
Yeah. So there's definitely an example for right at the moment. I'm working with a company called Boom, and we are literally doing everything we can to create the most, I would say, the healthiest, but also the most supportive work environment that is completely and fully distributed all over the world. So what I mean is there is definitely people who are working in two different time zones and two different continents where it's day and night, myself included. This is it, right? We're not thinking about it because it's good for business. We're simply thinking about it because we want to make sure that we're on the right journey, and we see this as a future of work. We see future of work as being able to hire, retain, and reward employees that are passionate about the lifestyle choices that we all share, but at the same time wanting to do good work because this is what feels most rewarding for them. Obviously, we're talking about being able to pay employees at a certain market rate as well, so that the flexibility of actually being in a distributed workforce doesn't offset your salaries, because this is what a lot of other companies are trying to do, right? We hear conversations out there where companies are trying to hire people on a lower salary because they want to offer remote, but at the same time they're also saving cost from a physical office or having to apply more benefits on people. But I think what really needs to happen is companies wanting to do this for the right reasons. And even in this particular company itself, I've also realized together with the team, we're able to achieve a lot on very little. So it really just come down to the philosophy that you carry as you're building out the kind of business you want to build out.
Because the business will come, right?
Exactly. People are generally happier,
Yeah.
and, they treat your clients better. They can retain your
Right.
clients better. They can sell better. Not because the end point is to go, we want to make this, a remote workforce because one, we can save on X amount, and two, we can generate on X amount. This conversation doesn't always have to be about the bottom line.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, this is so intriguing. Oh, goodness. Sophie, we're going to take a quick sponsor break and we'll be right back.
Is it time to sell your home? Build that dream home? Right size? Or are you ready to invest in real estate? Couture Real Estate Firm is a local female-owned independent brokerage laser-focused on services exclusively tailored to our clients' real estate goals. With our forward-thinking business model, we have a fully mobile, luxury real estate concept allowing convenience, flexibility, efficiency for our clients in style. Amber Weitzer, broker-owner of Couture Real Estate Firm, has over 20 years in the real estate industry and is a second-generation broker. She provides straightforward business practices, integrity, and intelligence with a commitment to a high-touch, consistent customer service experience. We take great pride in our reputation as a strong, referral-based brokerage. Discretion, tenacity, respect, and proactive business practices have earned Couture Real Estate Firm a loyal, repeat client business with a trusted global partner network. We strive for ultimate client satisfaction with successful results, doing it with class, consciousness, and a little avant-garde. In addition to serving our clients and vendor partners, we are extremely honored to be actively engaged in supporting the communities we serve by promoting small businesses, schools, and nonprofits. Real estate is direct sales business at its core, and we are highly trained sales professionals with the Mike Ferry organization, adding dimension to the industry. Passionate about customer service, dedicated to client satisfaction, and driven to achieve successful results for our clients. Call Couture Real Estate Firm today at 817-233-7239 to discuss your real estate goals.
And we are back. All right, Sophie, we crave great resources that might help to inspire or uplift, expand our minds, or sometimes just get us through the day. So now we all have at least one new book to check out and immerse ourselves in your book. But do you have any favorites or resources, or is there anything that you'd like to pass on to the audience that has been something that you maybe rely on or enjoy?
Yeah, I am currently reading a book called The Nature Fix by Florence Williams. It's a book telling us how to live a happier and healthier life, and also becoming more creative as we connect to the nature. So I know it's kind of like off topic, but I have realized that there are a lot of philosophy and principles in it that we've been able to kind of apply to this whole building out a great distributed workforce or remote workforce that you're calling it. Because if you think about it, someone wants to choose to be remote working, not just because they want to sit at home and get chained at the very same desk that they would in the office. It's simply because they want to now start getting connected more to nature. They want to get connected more to their families. They want to actually live a living. So this book in this very particular moment has been very, very helpful to me. So that's what I want to share.
Excellent. Thank you. And audience will be sure and include that as well. Love that. The quality of life, connecting more. Yes. Oh, thank you. All right, my lady, it is time to give you the stage here in a second to share all of your contact information. But before we do that, and keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration with the audience, do you have a piece of key go-to advice that you would like to share?
Yes, my key go-to advice is make sure you are happy doing what you're doing, because if not, there's always something else around the corner.
And those are words of wisdom, because we know that actually is what you live by, if you will. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Okay, milady, as we close out, where can our audience go to find and connect with you on your socials or contact information and support you in your continued success?
For sure. So I'm easily reachable on LinkedIn. You can just find me by my first and last name. I'm also easily contactable on my website, which is just www.sophieteen.com. And feel free to check out the website because the book information is all there. And if any of you are living in the UK or may not happen to cross over London late October, I'm also running a book campaign. So I would love to meet as many like-minded people as possible.
Oh, that's fun. We'll have to make sure we've got that separate on separate link. Wow, very cool. Oh, Sophie, it has been a genuine pleasure. Thank you for sharing your silhouette of success with us. You have been just such a joy and light. But it sounds like, if I may, we might need to regroup once you get your community.
Of course.
We might need a part 2. So we want to make sure and share this light and your light with as many as possible. So thank you, milady, once again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Amber.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.